Livable apartments have become a luxury in many large cities. Vienna, however, has deliberately chosen a different path. For over 100 years, we have considered affordable housing a public responsibility that is best met by an effective public housing sector.
To understand Vienna's unique housing situation, you have to know its history. At the beginning of the 20th century, it had more than 2 million inhabitants, a larger population size than in the present day. At that time, about 300,000 people in the city had no access to decent living space. Vienna was reputed to be the European capital with the worst housing. As a result, the Social Democratic Viennese government made concerted efforts to improve living standards after World War I. The dogma was, apartments are not goods. Having one is a right. In 1923, the foundation for the first large residential construction programme was laid. A new municipal city council decree foresaw the construction of 25,000 apartments within 5 years, and another 30,000 from 1929 to 1933. Public housing projects were never limited to certain districts. They were implemented across Vienna, regardless of the social status of the area. Owing to this clear, long-standing policy, the social background of a person cannot be determined by their postal address. The most essential principles of the Austrian First Republic are still valid today. These include affordable, high-quality buildings, social cohesion, and a balanced social mix. As a result, social housing has a long and successful tradition that has now lasted for more than 100 years. It is this continuity which is unique. Nowadays, Vienna, Austria's capital, is home to 1.9 million inhabitants. Along with New York and Geneva, it is home to the United Nations and other important global diplomatic organizations. It is the 5th largest capital in the European Union and the 2nd largest city in the German-speaking world. Today, more than half of all Viennese live in subsidized apartments. These housing complexes are spread across the city, ensuring a positive social mix in each district. Vienna is the fastest-growing city in the German-speaking world. Although the growth of population slowed down in recent years, it is still expanding at around 10,000 people per year, and this high ratio is expected to continue over the next few years. The pressure on the municipality to provide the population with attractive and affordable apartments in a healthy, safe and livable environment is huge. Hence, local government invests up to 400 million euros annually in housing construction and renovation of older buildings. Another 100 million euros is reserved for local residents who are unable to afford even subsidized rents. The subsidies are financed through federal taxes and the general income tax system. This funding through taxation creates a reliable basis for the planning of complex housing programs, which would be impossible under strictly market-dependent housing policies. The quota is regulated by a federal law and amounts to 0.5% of the gross income of employees and employers. On the basis of this tax, Vienna receives an annual amount of about 250 million euros for housing construction purposes from the federal state. Besides money, there are other important factors that help tenants sleep well at night. City dwellers enjoy a very strong tenancy law in Austria. Another essential factor is the Limited Profit Housing Act. This act provides the legal framework for all limited profit construction associations, whether organised as a cooperative or as a corporation. It defines not only the principles of the public good status, but also other issues, such as the handling of rents or the membership of a supervisory association. Another key factor for affordable housing was the establishment of the Vienna Land Distribution and Urban Renewal Fund in 1984 to provide land for state-subsidized housing construction and to supervise the renovation of old houses. As a non-profit organisation, Wohn von Wien, as it is called today, coordinates property developers, house owners, municipal departments and service centres of the municipality of Vienna. Because of its land reserves and long-term planning, Wohn von Wien is still able to buy agricultural or brownfield land at good rates despite the increasing price of land. Recent years have seen land and real estate prices in many European cities spiralling out of control. To counteract this development, the city of Vienna amended its building code in November 2018 by introducing the subsidized housing zoning category. If land is thus classified as belonging to a subsidized housing zone, 2/3 of the usable floor space created for housing purposes must be taken up by subsidized dwellings. This caps rents and safeguards that affordable homes will continue to be constructed across the entire city, and again, ensures a good social mix all over Vienna. All these measures provide for an adequate supply of good housing in Vienna, as well as the rest of Austria. Last but not least, these benefits contribute to Vienna being continually voted the city with the highest standard of living in the world. Vienna was ranked as the most livable city worldwide 10 times in a row. This includes Quality of Living ranking 2019 by Mercer, as well as being classified as the best place to live worldwide by the Global Livability Index 2019 through The Economist. In comparison with other big cities, Vienna has rather moderate rent prices. To maintain this, even in times when the housing market is under great pressure due to the financial markets and the ever-increasing population, the city administration invests, as mentioned, annually roughly 400 million euros in housing construction and renovation of older buildings. With this funding budget, around 7,000 good quality, affordable apartments are built every year, and over 5,000 apartments refurbished on average. Nowadays, the benchmark rent for a well-equipped municipal apartment is €5.81 per square metre, excluding taxes and operating costs. The benchmark rent for a subsidised apartment is nearly the same. When we study how people live, we can determine that Vienna is a city of tenants. Over 3/4 of Vienna's population rent accommodation, with only around 20% living in flats or houses that they own. There are mainly two forms of affordable housing in Vienna: the municipal housing apartments owned by the city of Vienna, and the non-profit residential construction buildings owned and operated by non- or limited-profit cooperatives or associations. Already, since the 1950s, parallel to the social housing construction of the Viennese municipality, non-profit housing construction has been making a considerable contribution to apartment production. Responsible for the building management of the Viennese municipal housing complexes is Wiener Wohnen, Vienna's municipal housing company. With 4,000 employees, Wiener Wohnen is Europe's largest manager of municipal properties. Altogether, Wiener Wohnen looks after 1,800 housing complexes containing 220,000 apartments, more than 5,000 business premises or doctors' practices, and nearly 50,000 garages and outdoor parking spots. And although the city of Vienna recently decided to build another 4,000 new municipal housing units, most efforts have been made since the early 2000s to promote the concept of subsidized housing. This program is supported by non- or limited-profit construction associations, which are responsible for building, renovating, and administrating apartments for the benefit of the general public. These must be approved by the federal state government as charitable. Such building associations belong to a federation watchdog which regularly reviews their business activities. Non-profit building associations predominantly build dwellings that are subsidised according to the Housing Development Acts of the provinces. Therefore, for the rent or purchase of an apartment, the funding provisions must be complied with. To ensure that the quality of affordable housing in Vienna fulfills the highest quality standards, Vienna has a detailed planning process including rigorous competitions for selecting developers and architects. This is called the 4 pillars process. Only those projects which provide the highest standards in the fields of economy, ecology, architecture, and social sustainability will be selected by an interdisciplinary panel of experts. For housing construction projects with a volume of at least 500 subsidised dwellings, developer competitions are mandatory. Smaller projects are evaluated by the Land Advisory Board, which is also a part of Vienna. Both systems use similar criteria to determine eligibility for housing. You have to have a minimum age of 18. Maximum monthly income must not be more than €3,410 after tax with a single person, €5,080.71 for a 2-person household, and €5,750 for a 3-person household. These relatively high income limits, 75% of the Viennese population earn less, provide that the middle class also has access to Vienna's subsidised housing. Everybody who wants to rent public housing must have lived in Vienna for at least 2 years. You have to be an Austrian citizen, come from a member state of the European Union, or have an equivalent status. To get one of the municipal housing flats or a smart apartment, or a subsidised apartment with a procuration fee under €10,000, you also have to fulfil socially oriented allocation criteria. The long-standing history of affordable housing in Vienna and the ongoing political will and practice that maintains it makes Vienna a great place to live. Constantly providing its residents with affordable homes needs constant commitment and a wealth of action. As in the past, this action will ensure future generations have access to high-quality, affordable apartments.